governor, former national secretary, former chairman, medical doctor, brother of the great Nia, father of Nkena. I congratulate you as you attain the enviable age of 70. Permit me to quickly also recognize the presence of the other excellencies, my brother Donald, Mukhtar Ahmed, the great professors. Permit me to now also recognize our most distinguished senator, the Amazon Grace Bent. I will just quickly take off from where Professor Nwosu stopped. But basically, what I've been asked to talk about are the essential variables and ingredients of internal democracy and its institutionalization in Nigeria. And I have identified about 5 or 6, items. The first one I will talk about is transparency in the selection process. And basically, the process of selection, of course, are in 2 stages. The primary selection, which is within the political party. And after that primary selection, the main selection goes into the entire populace. Professor Nwosu has spoken about one man, one vote. But let me just drop a controversial poster here. One man, one vote. Yes, that is what we all accept as the tenets of democracy all over the world. But in an environment like Nigeria, where a large number of our people are not particularly educated, I want to know whether we can get good results for as long as somebody like Donald Duke, for instance, governor of Cross River for 8 years, has only one vote. And the motor boy, the garage boy, who are many more than the Donald Dukes, also have one vote. I think we need to look at that. This is not the topic for today, but I think it's something fundamental which probably we need to begin to look at when we come to what is happening in Black Africa. It is my considered opinion that probably in Africa we should be talking of weighted averages. Because I still cannot understand how somebody who has extensive knowledge of a state will have only one vote with that thug in the motor garage. But that is precisely what we are running. And for as long as this is what we are running, is that a question of how much you can pay? Not so much of what you can offer. So this for me is part of the fundamentals we have in the selection process. But of course, people also know that because of that as well, in our country, it is no longer about what you are capable of. It is now about how much you can pay. When I was running for governor in 2003, I didn't remember if we had to devote any amount per voter. But I'm sorry to say that in recent times, what we find out is that people talk about 5,000 per voter, 10,000 per. We just mobilized and looked after the various polling stations where people are now budgeting 5,000 per voter, 10,000 per voter. So it's now a procurement process. The selection process has now become a procurement process, and once it's procurement, it's now a question of the highest bidder, and that is part of what is responsible for the quality of the people who are now running the various locations. Increasingly, my worry is that if we go on like this, credible people will start moving back, and leadership will be taken over by all manner of characters. But for, like I said, I will just leave that for leaders of thought to think through it. The next thing is, of course, the rule of law, discipline in the party, and things like that. The way some of us understood the party process, the court is the last thing that people should go. But in the last decade, what have we seen? There is really no longer any level of discipline. So even if a small councillor has an issue, before you know what is happening, somebody has gotten an ex parte injunction, and then the whole political process is grinded to a halt. I think that moving forward, it's probably, yes, one appreciates that Everybody has a right to go to the court. But this abuse of court process via all manner of frivolous motion coming from people who don't even know anything about how the party was formed is something that we have to find a solution to. And I think that if it is not out of place, sanctions must be applied for people who lead the party process, the party hierarchy, the party apparatchik, and whatever little thing happened, they've gone to court. Yes, we must observe the rule of law, but I also think it's important that it is not frivolous, as I consider it is in recent times. The next point I want to make is what I call stakeholders engagement. What we have found, excuse me, is that in the situation we have in our country today is so unfortunate that the large proportion of our people depend on government. And life is about what happened in various government houses. We all know that you cooperate in certain countries, UK and all of that, without even knowing who the prime minister is beyond what you see, newspapers. You have no business there. You can run your life, you can run your business, you can do everything without having anything to do with the government directly. But the reverse is here in Nigeria. Everything and anything depends on what the government do. And if you say you don't want to know what is going on in government, one local government law and everything that you are doing is gone. So to that extent, the population in the process of politics must be kept busy. Because it is only when they are busy that there can be peace. And keeping them busy for me is something that can be turned into a productive enterprise. I can give a little example if time permits me. When I was lucky to be governor in Ogun State, at a stage I went on television and I said, I must not hear that anybody is jobless in Ogun State. I have jobs for everybody. And it's true. Because we went to the streets, we picked all the area boys, we trained them how to paint. And we gave them painting jobs to do. And you'll be shocked. After they painted all government offices, I said, okay, rather than continue to be nuisances on the street, now begin to paint all the fences you find in Ogun State. And after that, I said, okay, go and be painting churches and mosques. This is a kind of social responsibility. So we need to keep our people busy. I do not believe that we do not have enough work to do to get everybody to get busy here. It is the process in which we do this work. If opportunity comes, I can expatiate on this further. The other thing I want to talk about for is trust.
Excellency, you should be winding up now, maybe 2 minutes.
Yes, we are not trusting ourselves and we are not being fair. Finally, it's fairness. We are not being fair to ourselves and we are not trusting ourselves. But in closing, I want to talk briefly about ideology. Once upon a time, we had a little to the left, a little to the right. But today, it does appear that there are no distinct ideologies amongst the political parties. It does appear that, you can be here today and be there tomorrow. It's not about personalities. There are no distinct products. There are no beliefs. There are no consensus. There is no resolution. And I think that if we begin to look at this thing again, maybe the political process can become a little bit better. Let me just pause for now. Thank you very much for the opportunity.